been able to look at the minutes, especially the minutes of the executive meeting that we had, there were some, discussions about how to proceed forward with our finances, that are gonna kind of need some approval from all of you before we can really say this is what we're gonna do. Laura had these beautiful graphs made up with different scenarios of how long our money will last, assuming that we get no more federal funds. What we basically decided to do is because of the everything is so up in the air and everything depends on the federal budget to trickle down.
I can explain it a little more.
Yeah, I mean, just almost basically doing nothing until after harvest.
Well,
was
not quite. So we said till August.
August.
So to be clear, and I think we need to frame this. So someone just came in. Florence is here. Hang on, I can pause for a second.
All right.
But I will say, Tricia, I want to just clarify one thing, which is that it was sort of the sense of the meeting. No vote was taken.
No,
It was
no
it was
vote was
to guide
taken
me to
and,
make decisions so that
yeah,
I know what your disposition is about the Hi, Florence. There are sandwiches in the kitchen if you want one.
No, thank you.
Okay.
I got detoured.
Oh.
The road in Fort Henry, so I.
Oh, the
It's hand me
construction.
here. I called my husband, how do I get to Westport from here? Yeah.
Here, do you want to come down this end?
It's up to you. You can get your.
Can you get mine?
Your- do you have
It
your-
looks like somebody else.
Great.
Did somebody else come in too? Is there?
that's-
No.
And
It sounded like the doorbell rang.
Oh, you see back there. Oh, here we go. Oh, let's. I'll go on the other side. Should I go on the other side? I think the other side was plugged into those, so they're all hot up here.
You want me to plug it in on this side, Lauren?
So like that, and I can move this, and then you can see here. So sorry. I don't know. It's an old little fan we have.
I know, this room has no windows and no air circulation, so it's all we had.
It's been like a traffic accident.
Oh.
Shut down.
Oh. I thought you meant for the road construction, because they've had construction.
Yeah, no, it wasn't construction, all blue lights and cars and all that. Want me to tell this about them? I don't know.
Oh, here, I can plug it in, yeah, I can plug it there, so we do need some air, let's face it.
The little circulation.
I don't know if it's gonna reach.
Got it twisted a little bit. Maybe just set it on the old heater and fold it back there, I don't know. Oh.
Nope.
Is there anywhere outside of it? Is there anywhere outside of there?
Put it here. I don't know if it'll, yeah, it just has to be out of the view of the way of the,
Let me put it over here to blow air into the room, so that's cool air in them.
okay, that's a good idea.
Try that.
Wow. Okay. We were, take a minute. You need some water or anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. We were just starting. We were reviewing the minutes of the executive committee. And the gist of it was Laura presented some projections, some cash flow projections. And the executive committee discussed that and discussed also kind of what and elected to not do anything, not cut any hours, budget, staff, not make any changes to our current financial or our current personnel structure until August when we know more. Right, and then I just wanted to get a sense of the meeting of how the board looks at if we do have to make staff reductions, kind of what people's approach would be to doing that. And to be clear, I want to, there sort of should be a boundary between the board telling, who should get fired and who should not get fired. So the idea was really to, hopefully no one's gonna get fired. And my strong recommendation is that if we do, we aren't there, we might not have to do it. If we do have to, reduce staff, that we do it equally across all positions instead of excising individuals out of programs. That's my strong recommendation. So I really wanted a sense of the meeting, if that's how other people would approach it. There were some other discussions, other options discussed, which are listed in the draft minutes. And it's worth having a discussion ahead of time, rather than waiting until there's really some, clutch bad news. Or some drastic change. So it was helpful to me to hear people's thoughts about that. And happy to hear more. If people want to think about that, weigh in, thumbs up, thumbs down. But at this point, we are not going to make any changes until August, based on the projections of it.
What happens in August?
I just have more information.
Oh,
Honestly, there's no information at any level right now that's helpful in terms of either knowing how we're gonna wind up 2025, or frankly, knowing what to propose for 2026. And I'm hoping, I don't know if it's true, but the president of the United States would like to pass his big beautiful bill by July 4th. To be able to make an announcement. That's a push for it to get through the entire the Senate and the reconciliation process. But if that happens and he does sign that bill, we'll know, we'll at least know some things. We'll know some things, and that will just be a threshold.
It's
And-
also in time for us to be able to start thinking it, or it's in time for us to start organizing the next budget for next year.
Because we
But
have
to propose it. Kevin.
Right, and we have to propose the county by the end of, the board will meet again at the end of August, and the executive committee will meet during July to kind of keep up with what we propose. So,
Well, we had also talked about just doing level funding for next year,
it's requesting, yeah,
requesting level funding.
without, in the absence of any other information, I
Right.
think that's what we should do,
Right,
but.
so, I mean, if we do that, is putting that budget together going to be complicated?
It won't be more complicated than usual.
All right, I'm just,
It'll still require work because.
yeah,
We don't know at the moment, still.
Lots of things.
Yeah, lots of-
And so we can base it on what the prior 12 months or a rolling 12-month average or whatever we want to do, but there are going to be some new expenses in 2026 that I did learn about at the ELC. They're going to start charging us for Acumatica, and they're going to start charging us for some of the new website features. It's going to be an improvement, and they told us a year ago that they were going to charge us for the Acumatica license, but it still is going to mean changes to our budget, so it's going to be really challenging to.
how much is that gonna be?
It'll be about
I think it was
3,000.
like,
I think it's 3,100.
oh, got it.
Yeah, they are,
Calculation stuff.
what is Acumatica?
it's our finance software. And we have to use it. It's part of our relationship with, and the reason why is because all of the counties use it and it feeds into the finances, because Cornell is our, or extension is our kind of, we're underneath their nonprofit umbrella. So they have to collect, they review all of it. All of it, but they have to have access to it.
Sure.
Yeah, there will be some other changes in our 2026 budget as well. We're kind of jumping around here, so sorry about that one, but the 2026 budget will also include some expenses for the new building. And we aren't sure exactly what that will be yet. But we have been provided with space. Sorry, Lori, it's not linear.
I'm not taking any minutes yet. I was really not sure what we're doing. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry, we're kind of jumping around, so maybe since Florence is here, maybe we can back up and start at the top if that's helpful.
All right, so let's start at the top of the agenda then. So we have the May 19th minutes. and, the, June 13th Executive Committee meeting minutes to approve. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Um. All right, there was also, well, I mean, there were things we talked about. We talked about fundraising, we talked about, some different things, but, well,
You wanna do the May finances and then we can.
yeah, we'll
loop
do the
back
May
around.
finances. We had approved the April finances at the executive meeting, so. The financial reports, Daniel, Laura,
Dan, I can do it.
I can do this. Finances look perfect.
So each has the board financial summary, the notes, and the financial statements, balance sheet, and statement of positions. So let me know when you're ready, and I'll
Go for it.
those. Go for it.
go for it.
Okay, so total cash on page one, balance sheet, total cash is about 192,800.
Well, I'm gonna pause you again, or this is what you're looking for.
Thank
This
you,
is-
that's helpful.
This is the summary and the other,
Sorry, I thought I was.
and the other piece that this is the notes to interpret the balance sheet. And operating statement. So these are Laura's notes to help you to understand what that balance sheet operating statement say. So that's where she left off. 192,000 is our cash on hand.
Everyone ready?
Mhm.
So that does not include the $100,000 CD at Champlain National Bank, which is listed under current assets, and the two $100,000 CDs at Community Bank, currently valued at $207,490.68, and those are considered non-current assets. The CD at Champlain National Bank has the 3.5% interest rate and maturity date of 6/28. Elizabeth will be discussing the CDs a little bit after. In total, there's about $88,400 less this year in cash and savings than there was last year at this time. Most of that is, a lot of that is due to unpaid receivables, but also because we purchased a new car. Total accounts receivables are about $109,200. 77% are current within 60 days. 21% are past due between 61 and 90 days, and the remaining 2% are past due more than 90 days. About 21,100 of the past due invoices are from the New York State Department of Ag and Markets, and they've all been paid since May 1st. About 29,400 is due from the U.S. Department of Ag and Markets for the FMPP grant. Total amount consists of 3 invoices from March through May. They've been entered into the grantor's payment report system, but have not been reviewed by the grantor. About 20,000 is due from USDA NEFA for the Mary 4-H Thrive grant. Total amount due consists of 3 invoices from March through May that I haven't been able to enter into the grantor's payment request system. We were informed by the awards management division that they were told, as we wait for their guidance, we are asked to pause issuance of grant funding during the transition of government, and we have not heard anything else back yet. We expect to receive the remaining 59,900 that is currently owed. Only 3,600 of that amount is past due, and we have been informed by the grantor that we should receive payments soon. Current receivables include 9,000 in New York State Department of Ag and Markets invoices that won't be submitted until mid-July. Shelley, OFA, Adirondack Action, Bruce, Ag Day Reimbursement, Oasis, and several other miscellaneous invoices that are $200 less. For the prepaid expenses, which are highlighted in blue on the summary, they're about 5,500, about 4,400 is for prepaid insurance, monthly amounts, and the remaining number of payments until renewal are listed on summary. General liability, auto insurance, and association services fees are usually received from Cornell by the end of July. The total budget amount for those expenses is around $19,004. So the prepaid expenses will go up to about 24,000. Page 2. Of the page, liabilities. Accounts payable are about $38,200, and that includes the May Cornell bill of $34,900, which is about $9,300 more than this time last year. Because last May, we received a credit of $14,347 from Harvest, New York on our Cornell bill for an invoice payment. Deferred revenues are about $29,500. Most of it is for Happy Trails and Adirondack Harvest Festival and will be recognized as expenses are incurred. The Adirondack Generous Acts grant funds are from Megan Doman's program, and she's aware of the balance and is working on utilizing the rest of those funds. Jake is going to be reaching out to someone to try and schedule an event or class to utilize the remaining funds from the 4-H welding grant. The 2024 4-H Stewards Match deferred revenue was fully spent in June, and we didn't receive any Stewards funds in 2025. There are 2 Happy Trails events scheduled that will utilize all the 2022 funds and about half of the 2023 funds. 2023 paper plover funds have been completely spent, and we received the 2024 paper plover funds in May for use in 2025. The current total general and designated fund balances are about $532,000. The $35,000 budget approved transfer from the vehicle fund was processed in May, reducing that fund account to $55,000. Does anybody have any questions about the balance sheet before I move on to the statement of operations? So the statement of operations summary summarizes all the numbers in the 3-page statement of operation and financial statement.
So that looks like this. This is the balance sheet, is the first page, and then the back of the balance sheet, page 2 and page 3 are the statement of operations. And again, the key financial points are Laura's notes that go along with this. So it's a summary of this detail.
No questions on the balance sheet? Okay. So page 3 of the summary, we're 42% through the year, and the net from transfers and operations is $38,540.44. Revenues are at 37% and expenses are at 33%. Any categories that are 10% more or less than the expected percentage are highlighted in green on the board summary report. Grant and contract revenues are still low and will probably remain that way until we are able to continue programming for the FMPP and Mary grants. Program and operating expenses are less than expected because programming was minimal at the beginning of the year due to being short-staffed and because some of our grant program expenses, besides salary, are very limited due to funding being at risk. All the other main categories are within 10% of where they should be at the end of May. There are a few subcategories highlighted in green on the actual statement of operations that I did want to review, but feel free to ask if you have questions about any of the other subcategories. So if you want to pull out the actual financial statement, the 2-page sheet with all the accounts listed. So for revenues, private contracts contributions line includes all the deferred revenues besides the funding for the Adirondack Harvest Festival, and most of that will be spent by the end of the year. All the Adirondack Harvest Festival will be, most of the others will be as well. Program registration fee line is high because it is budgeted for only $200, and we received $465 in Master Gardener training fees that were not included in the budget. That percentage will increase if we receive any other program registration fees. The 200 that was in there was for the ag program, and we haven't received any of that yet. The reimbursement for services fee line is high because we only budget $100 for this line every year because we don't know what opportunities we'll have throughout the year to be reimbursed for services. The $250 was for Cole's participation in a Northern New York Regional Agritourism Network at Ralph's Orchards. The other revenue subcategories are more or less than expected, either due to timing or programming reductions. For expenses, workers' compensation was a little bit more than what was budgeted and will be increased on the 2026 budget. Staff development transportation is high because the farm to school grant staff development accounts are distributed in our accounts based on expectations. And there wasn't anything included for air travel. On the grant, there's only one staff development travel account that includes all staff development expenses. So it doesn't matter what that we're over in that category, because it's just an actual combined total on the grant, but we have to break it out to what we expect it will be in our accounts. The vehicle's fuel account is costing more than we budgeted and will need to be increased for 2026. Property insurance is paid in full at the beginning of the year, so that's why that is high. Licenses and fees are high because there's a $2,300 and a one-time fee was paid at the beginning of the year. The remaining expenses are for licenses that are prepaid and expensed over the period of billing others. Facilities, grounds maintenance includes the cost of trash removal and recycling as well as cleaning supplies. Both costs have gone up more than expected and will need to increase the budget for 2026. Utilities heating is a little higher, but not much more than it was at this time last year. We usually receive heating bills from January through May and then not again until November. So this percentage should go down unless the cost of heating goes up significantly. Most of the other expense subcategories are less than expected due to the reduced programming that was explained above. Do you have any questions on any of
I
that?
appreciate you highlighting those, and, you know, obviously, there are a couple of items that we'll talk about in the budget process where we just right size things.
Mhm.
Effective next year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I move to adopt, correct?
Except.
Except.
Thank you, accept.
Your report to beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
That's really good to hear, because we don't know, we never know.
Is there a second to accepting the budget? Or to the financials?
Also.
All in favor?
Alright.
Any opposed? No,
Thank
good.
Last thing I'll say is thank you, Elizabeth, for working with the county to try to get the commitment they made so that we can save those.
I'll talk about that next.
Okay, great, perfect, so my segment.
So when things were looking a little crazy, I had a great conversation with the county manager and let him know that we did not want to prematurely take money out of our CDs or do any other crazy things to have to pay for our cash flow needs basically for payroll. And he generously said he would ask the supervisors to pay the remainder of our county appropriation, and he did. So we are paid for our county appropriation has been received through December. So that leads me to talk about two things. One is that in order to keep our bank balance below $250,000, so that it's insured, FDIC, you've all heard that FDIC insurance thing. So that influx exceeded $250,000, and so we had to transfer some money into a sweep account. And we realized that Lori was the only person allowed to do that, and she was on vacation. So we need to ask you to take a look at these financial controls, and there's the only change to the financial controls in red is Lori made it really easy. It's in red, and it's just to add another person, Samantha Davis, to be able to make transfers so that when Lori's on vacation, she doesn't have to think about stuff like this.
I move.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. All in favor?
I.
Aye, all right, we'll add them at,
Great, thank you. So the next financial bit, there's a bunch of bits and pieces, but our.
Lori, that'll teach you to go on vacation.
I actually tried. I was on my phone trying to get that, like, wait, Samantha is, because the bank has approved Samantha to do it, but we didn't have it in our financial controls.
It's hard to line
It
everything.
really was.
And. Yes, so thank you for doing that on your vacation too. So we have one 6-month CD held at Champlain National that is going to turn over. It's or mature, thank you. And it's currently earning 3.5%. And so we would like to know what you would like us to do with that. My suggestion would, as proposed by Laura, is that transfer the interest to the checking account and just roll it over into the same 6-month CD.
Yes.
I don't need a vote for you to do that. I do need a vote for you to do that.
We were just gonna get it to be safe.
Yeah, just to be safe in case they ask us for that. So if you want to do that together with the next one, we can make one vote out of it. We also have, maybe not,
Maybe not.
we'll see.
I moved then to.
Okay.
Roll the
With the
interest
interest,
transfer the interest into a checking account and roll the CQ.
I second that.
a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
thank you.
Okay, all right.
So then we have two more $100,000 CDs at Community Bank that are currently earning 4%, and they're gonna mature at the end of July. And we suggest the same action unless, so which would be to roll over the interest and just reinvest it at the best we can get. It will not be 4%, but we hope it will be high 3%. And for the same term. And the only reason why I would not do that is we have talked about having a finance committee and possibly developing some more guidelines for investments and how we manage them. And I have some ideas, and I've actually gotten a copy of an investment policy that I'd like to share with the executive committee to start with. And to begin what I think will be a wider fundraising campaign. I need to do some research, but I would like to work with the Adirondack Foundation to set up a designated fund at the Adirondack Foundation. And it might change what you want to do with that, those CDs that mature in July, because we might be able to get a better return
Do they mature before or after our next meeting?
before. But we haven't scheduled the July executive committee meetings, not sessions, meetings.
Sure.
So it's before, so what I'm hoping is that the executive committee could make a recommendation or even vote to do something. And then the full board can discuss and look closer in August.
And are these are the CDs that Champlain was able to give us at a higher rate previously? Has there been a conversation with them? I mean, you said, and it doesn't surprise me that it's likely less, but you had a conversation.
I have talked to them. We did that to get the highest possible rate we could and maintain, and by moving it to Community Bank instead of Champlain National, it was covered. It has a whole new FDIC 250,000, so we put it over there.
Right.
And in general, my philosophy has been since I started to try not to go backwards on our assets, to try and continue to manage within our operating budget. This year is gonna be a big challenge, but that is my general philosophy, and I would like to have the support of the executive committee and the full board to continue to do that or not do that when we need to. But for now, we're recommending roll over the interest and reinvest it unless there's a decision by the executive committee to do something else.
So I was gonna ask, I would be, I would support us waiting to make a decision on that until the executive committee,
Okay,
unless you really feel eager to reinvest those.
no.
No,
Okay.
they,
Because if you come back and you propose the next meeting that you have another strategy for how to reinvest those.
And get a higher return. The only reason to do it.
they mature
So
28th of July,
26th.
26th,
Okay.
so there's time.
I would be happy to hear from the rest of the board, but that seems like a prudent way to proceed instead of just giving another meeting.
I agree.
I'm gonna agree with this one.
Great, thank you. So we don't need to vote on that. So then the other items here are really just to explain that we do have enough we have money in our ICS account. It's earning a lower interest, but that's the money that and our money market account are what we draw on to cover shortfalls in cash flow. So we would not try and move those to a higher yield because we need them more fluid. But again, that could change because if we were to invest our assets into a managed fund, we could still keep some of it in cash. And it would earn probably what we're earning from Champlain National. I do feel somewhat of allegiance to Champlain National because they've been a bank since forever, right? And it's a local bank and there's a lot of local people that work there. I don't like to take assets out of there. But we have to continue to manage the assets to make sure that we don't go backwards. So we have more in the money market. We moved 50,000 into the money market and 140 into our sweep account. As reported. Well, I can break down the details. It's actually not reported in the May information because we just got that check. That will be reported in your June financials. So we currently have about 235,000 on deposit at Champlain National and 265 in our ICS account. So the combination of that is pretty strong right now, and we'll try and make it last for the rest of the year. And Laura will continue to monitor those balances to make sure that if we have to request additional transfers, we can do that. And then we will have Lori and Sam be able to make the transfers that we need to make at Champlain National. It's just for information. Fundraising, and do we have any questions about that? We'll return to the question of CDs, the community bank CDs in July. Fundraising plans, I'm gonna maybe change the order of things here.
All
Okay?
right.
That's all right. The federal funding is, it's pretty short, not a lot to say. We don't know, and we don't know about the state funding. And what we've been told is that as far as our current federal funding, it appears that, the best guess is that, since we have not been given a stop work order for our grants, that we'll probably, when push comes to shove, be paid for the unpaid period from when they paused us until they give us a stop work order, when they say we're not paying this, when we're terminating this grant. So that's what other associations are operating on, is that we will eventually get paid for the two big, right now we're owed $50,000 from the USDA grant and the Mary grant. So current advice is wait, and they should pay us for what we're owed for 2025. And then we'll know about 2026 after the federal bill is passed. And if we do get the funding restored and we haven't done the work on time, it's pretty common to get an extension, no cost extension to do the work, to complete the work. And so we would ultimately still get the money and still complete the work. It's a gamble, we don't know, but it's what other people are suggesting that they are doing. That's their approach. And I trust them. They're people who have a lot of experience. I asked 3 different other EDs who have FFPP or other federal money. So I'm trusting that one.
It
We
makes
did
sense.
that with our previous, the LFPP grant, we extended it for 6 months, and that was not under the, the circumstances we're dealing with right now.
In the absence of, any information whatsoever from the funders, gotta go with something. That made sense to me. So I just that's what, that federal funding update is, which is what I learned from talking to other executive directors at the ELC. And 2026, we already talked about. We'll just keep you posted and meet with the executive committee. It's up in the air a lot. Um, the fundraising plans, I'm gonna go back to. So I did talk with the executive committee about starting now to think about how we're gonna get other revenue streams. I have no idea what public revenue is gonna look like going forward. And you know, in the past 2 years, getting one $500,000 grant and one $300,000 grant was really good for a really small association and has meant a lot to our revenue stream, but I have nothing, I have no clue. No one has a clue of what grant funding will be available going forward. The ag research side of agriculture in the United States actually was restored thanks to a lot of big western states that have a lot of agriculture, so we can hope a lot of the USDA money was restored, including the money for the Smith-Lever Act, which funds extension all across the country, and Hatch Act, which funds research. So there may still be these revenue streams, but we don't know. So we have to pivot and come up with other ways to make money. It's going to take a long time. You can't just start cold calling people and asking them for money. You have to create a good case for support, create sort of individual campaigns, whether that's individual annual gifts, you know, or major donors, or planned giving where people leave amounts in their will, or events, or who knows, there's all kinds of ways to raise money. So what I would like to talk to the executive committee about is really just starting that process, whether or not we have federal grants, because it's not a bad thing. And it is a real vulnerability. We learned the hard way to be almost 100% funded by federal, state, and county money. So I've showed Lori and I guess the executive committee too, and Laura, a sort of design that I think would sort of an architecture for our fundraising, and Markale said she likes raising money, so we're gonna, yeah, so I forgot you're up there, Jazz, wherever you are. But in any case, that's what I think we should do. And I'll bring you more information. It just takes a while to put that into place. It will go on our website. We will have some kind of rollout. We can't just do it really cavalierly. We have to, it's gotta be really thoughtful. And it's a big change in the Essex County landscape in that we will be in competition with some of our friends and collaborators and community partners. I don't like that, but the world has changed. And so I will continue to be in communication with all of them. Try and bring in new revenue streams or at levels that other of our community partners can't. Try and work as a system, you know, and try and make sure that we can continue to prioritize what we can do the best. And stay out of other people's lanes if they can do something better than us.
I would challenge that perspective and say simply, actually reiterate the last part, just said, because I don't think it's gonna be silly competition, it's gonna be coordination.
Yeah, I agree.
More often than not, you know, all your partners are gonna be in the same boat and looking for strategic partnerships to access that, because I don't think anyone is gonna have the appetite for competition, especially the funders. They're gonna want to see
Collaboration.
Big collaboration, yeah.
Yeah. I agree, and I will reframe how I talk about it. And I think that it's so time consuming, and so to take the time to collaborate, and everybody's feeling really stressed. I'm just hoping that we get through this federal process and can regroup a little bit, you know, that all of our funding partners in the food system can sort of settle down and come up with a plan for their own organizations, because it's really confusing as to what to do, and everybody's been impacted. And private funders, the private philanthropy is really wildly people don't know what to do. They can't establish their priorities as funders if they don't know which organizations are going to be in business. And they don't know they can continue basically where to plug holes, where to shore things up. They
Right.
So private philanthropy is, they're talking their own, having their own meetings about what to do. So, really, I'll carry that as forward as best I can. Okay. New building update, I think I already mentioned, I don't really know, except for that they did give us, they haven't given it to us yet, but I met with Alice Halloran from Soil and Water and talked to the county. They gave us a bit of a floor plan. They talked to us about some ways that we might be able to create some financial efficiencies instead of having two different internet providers and two different phone providers, that we could probably save some money by collaborating that way. And they didn't name a number but it's likely that we'll have to pay rent. And that's a first. Farm Extension has not paid rent before. It's been provided by the county. But the county manager really wants to work with us and make sure that we aren't harmed by that, but they also can't lose money on the facility that they're building for us.
I wonder if it's a point of negotiation in the next budget, like.
Well, without saying too much,
Right?
this doesn't have to be, the negotiation did take place, but the details don't need to be in part of the minutes. Mike was really supportive, and he said that if he could, he would try to increase our allocation to cover it. He's not gonna guarantee he can do that, and he doesn't want to say that out loud, and he doesn't want it in writing, because if once it's in writing, he can't take it back. So he was very sort of careful about saying much more than he had to, but he's really supportive and wants, that building is gonna be called the Youth and Agriculture Building, and that's what we do.
The foundation has said the county's in. And the sweat equity for the organizations that will be there, paragraphs substantial, so. I think it's good for everyone, just a matter of terms.
And it's also a matter of how bad they hurt us with Medicaid. That's gonna be
Yeah.
the big hurt, and that's gonna decide many other things, because they have to pay for that. They have to pay for certain things, and it's just, we just don't know anymore than that, so I don't even want to speculate.
And who owns this building and what happens to it once you leave?
The county owns it, and they are right now projecting that they will use it for storage.
But like many of their other assets, they're constantly moving, building, shifting, so it wouldn't surprise me if this becomes them sort of transition space.
Well, also, this building is in way better condition than a lot of other county offices.
So
We
it's
own the
the-
sheds.
We own the
We
sheds.
take two sheds with us.
Yeah,
Right,
And two picnic tables.
right.
so it'll be utilized.
They say that, but then again, they hate managing extra buildings. They really want it to be simpler and more consolidated, so they might sell it.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, they like having us here because the town of Lewis has so little commerce that they like having activity here. So maybe they might want to have another organization take it over, just so there's cars in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Stuff going on. Yeah. But it's off their sort of main campus of downtown, Newtown. Okay, review of grants and contracts, we submit a couple of contracts to try and backfill the money that we're not getting paid for 4-H. We have not heard yet about either of them. And Lori submit 3 proposals for the Harvest Festival. Have you heard of any of them from any?
No, they're all ones I apply for every year. I get them all every year. I just haven't heard yet this year. So Stewart's I usually don't hear from till August. Salamo, I usually hear from right away, so I'm hoping very soon. And then Cloud Splitter depends on when they're, they only convene a few times a year, so I think they maybe just had their June meeting, so I'm hoping in July I'll hit that. But we're in pretty good shape anyway for the festival, so if we get these, we will be in great shape for the festival.
That is great.
Yeah.
All right, that's all my financial report. I do have a couple other things that we have to go over.
Did I miss the review of the cash flow projection?
That was the summary of what we're gonna do, because the cash flow projections were discussed at the executive committee meeting, and the
Okay.
recommendation to not
Gotcha.
change any staffing was as a result of those cash flow
I
projections.
just,
I'm sorry if I wasn't clear.
wait.
Okay, so that's all the financial stuff in my report. I'll try and keep it going quickly. I know that it's hot and late. So a couple things. We have another car problem. The Malibu needs $3,500 worth of work. It's currently sitting in that Ironic Auto. And we can't have educators in bad cars. And the Malibu is only worth about 5,500. So, as much as I do not want to decrease our designated funds, I think we need to buy another car. And my suggestion, I'm open to others, and Daniel might want to weigh in on this, is that we look for a car that's under $20,000, so we don't have to go through the bidding process again. And that's kind of what we established as our upper end budget, which would mean a used car with possibly high mileage, but based on the price of new cars, I mean, we can go back and try for another new car, but I think it would. I don't know. I want to hear some more from all of you, what you think about cars. We did just buy a brand new $35,000 car. Daniel, you left the room at the wrong time.
Thanks.
We're talking about about cars, and the Malibu's needs $3,500 worth of work, and it's only worth 5,500. We're talking about buying a new car.
Or used,
Or
and I can
used.
just say that, we bought our Escape from Egglefield, and I went down before we bought that. And they had several
Mhm.
really nice, low mileage Escapes on the lot. For half the price of what we just paid for the new one.
Did you discuss trading in the Malibu?
No, because at that point, we're only looking to offload the Focus, so. So we definitely could use that, right now, the Malibu is sitting at Jeff's Auto.
Oh, right, not that's right, it's not
Yeah,
I forgot. Yeah, we need to get it off his lot, just to be
It's quite
polite.
nice, but it's sitting there.
So nobody has time for that, but we really need to do it. We just can't have educators. Are in Newfoundland, we just can't have people going out there in cars that don't work. We just can't. It's not, I don't feel good about it at all. And it's kind of a bad financial choice to fix it, put $3,500 into a car.
Absolutely.
So I think we're gonna have to bite the bullet and hit up our vehicle fund.
So as of the end of May, we had $90,000 in the fund, the vehicle fund, and then
So to be clear, yes, that is a designated fund that was put there for vehicles.
and you spent how much on the Focus?
30,
There's only 55 in there now.
yeah.
55, okay.
Yeah. So, that money that you see in those designated funds is the remaining fund balance that we would have available to use for payroll or whatever else we need.
Right,
So to be clear, we took 35,000 out of that, and we would be taking out another amount out of what we would potentially have. But we have an immediate need that's not really negotiable. So I don't know. Do y'all agree with that?
I agree with that.
yeah, yes,
I think we should talk about, vehicle as we do with soil and water, future of rotating vehicles out more frequently, I think.
That was my plan.
Yeah.
And then
I
we,
think
but
need to have a better plan because getting to this point is not, what we're experiencing that.
exactly, exactly. And to tell you the truth, MPAL is not in great shape either.
Sure.
That's, so we don't want to buy 3 cars. My thing is to get another decent car. And then possibly in the fall, depending on where other things is, get rid of the Impala.
Yeah.
And then next year, if things are stable, then think about getting a car so then we would have a 3-year rotation. So we'd have a new car, we would have a used car that we buy this summer, and then next year we would have another car that we would put into that rotation. So we are on rotating schedule, not patching vehicles.
So I don't wanna jinx myself, but I think COVID killed those cars because I've had 3 Malibus and the one I have now is going on 150,000 miles. And I haven't had any major breaks. I don't wanna jinx myself, but I've had really good luck with Malibus, so I think it's because they just sat there for so long, and then even when we started using them, it wasn't very often, so. And so if we, for any reason, have to have the car sitting there, we should make sure that they get driven probably once a week.
At least,
Yeah.
and that's why I think we shouldn't keep the Impala over next winter, because I don't think it's gonna be in shape to drive next spring. if we, depending on what kind of shape that we're in.
More of the same.
But it's really also not really practical to keep paying everyone state mileage rates for using their own vehicles.
But you're looking at looking at a good used car as opposed to branded.
Correct.
Do you need a motion for that?
I always like a sense of the meeting. I don't know if we need a vote. Do we need a vote? Do we have to? Yeah, I guess we do, if it's gonna be an expenditure of $20,000, because I can only authorize up to 10.
We would need, yeah, we would need a
I don't think we,
approval, and then we would need a. We would need a motion to transfer the funds after the fact. We would have to-
Yeah,
I was
but
gonna
so
say,
right-
so I think we don't know what the purchase is, so we need to know what the purchase is for.
You could authorize me to spend up to $20,000 for a vehicle. If you want to, and then I can have a conversation with the executive committee or with you or with anyone who wants to know more. I don't know, I just wanna not slow the process down and make you all have to meet again for a car.
It's 20 and up
Yes.
for something you really want to keep for a little while.
Do you remember, that's a great question, do you remember what those used ones were going
15 to
for?
18.
That's what I was kind of thinking, that's why I was thinking 20 would be enough. They might, they might have 50 or 75,000 miles on them, but that's what,
Are they hybrids as
didn't.
well?
They weren't hybrids,
Okay,
but I don't think any of them had over 50,000.
Okay.
I mean, I was shocked actually, but then it's not surprising when you buy a car, you drive it off the lot and the value's already gone down to here, so.
but they were cars that they're gonna stand by cars. The other thing is that we went through this bid process, it really didn't work out for us. It turns out it doesn't really work out for Soil and Water. It's just so much easier to have someone who sells you the car service it.
yeah,
And so that's a plus.
So that would be E-Town.
Agafills.
And we can look
Alright.
at trading in the Malibu, we might
Right.
get some for that.
I guess, reflecting on the last experience, I mean, trading it. The last car was the right decision, but I still, think it'd be good to look at. Some, have some sense of what else is out there. As much as I think you're probably gonna end up going with Englefield.
You mean you want us to go to the bid again?
It's a loaded
Mhm.
term, but I mean, I just,
We know how to do it now.
yeah,
Well, for everyone who doesn't know this, a CCE, we have a policy that requires us to go to bid for anything over 20,000.
Okay.
So that's why I said that's the upper threshold. Cause I hate to waste Lori's time when nothing's gonna happen.
So we
With,
could at least shop around, maybe, is that what you're saying?
yes.
Different,
Oh, yeah, of
different
course.
manufacturers.
Yes, go to
Yeah.
Englefield.
But service
Yeah.
thing is a key piece to remember.
I do.
Yes.
I think, what I had recommended last time was that we look to sell the other car on the open market. And look to go to bid, because I thought we would get the highest rate and the lowest cost. But that didn't turn out that way, that's okay. This time around, I'm not sure if it'll be any different, but to at least look at a couple of public dealerships.
Oh, yeah, we can definitely do that. And again, keeping in mind, the service access
Yeah.
is one factor, but the
That's it.
price is another factor, and the reliability of the vehicle and all the
Right.
things you do when you buy a car, we're gonna get in, we'll do that. I mean, Adirondack Auto is just the other end of town, so they also service our cars and have for a while. So it just means that it's unfortunate that it just puts us in the position of not getting the vehicle that we want to have in our fleet. That we would have, like, next year buy a new vehicle. We can't, we can't do that. We can't wait that long.
Right.
And we probably will be able to get something for the Impala in the fall and just set that aside and then put that towards whatever we
But
buy
that-
next year.
But that begets the next question, which is, if we are gonna put it, if the Impala is going away. Is that need to be replaced, or is that just going away? How many cars?
I think we need
does the
to wait
organization-
and see what is happening next year. I just don't think we can answer that.
at one
Yeah,
point you were talking about some kind of an 8-passenger vehicle
Yeah.
for hauling around 4-H kids.
So we kind of downsized that with the Escape.
All right,
We can take 5 in the Escape.
all right,
Well, driver and 4.
yeah,
So, we just downsized a little bit because we thought it was the right vehicle to be able to use for Pop Club, farmers markets. just schlepping gear more than
Right.
people. We still could use that at time, but not, we don't actually have an immediate need for that, so ideally, we get another sedan or some sort for the educators to get to programs, and then the next vehicle would be a passenger, a small passenger van or,
Yeah,
or.
Sedan could still hold 5 people, yeah,
Mhm,
right? So
mhm.
if you're in a situation where you needed to move 8 people at once, you have 2 vehicles,
Mhm.
possibly, if they were
Yeah, exactly,
available.
yeah. Um,
And other than these 2 dealerships, you'd have to go to Plattsburgh, right?
yeah,
For time, there's one there.
do you know Ford or Chevy?
Christopher, I mean, it's still a Del Alva group, so it's,
Oh, okay,
there's no one way versus the other,
right,
more options up there.
Yeah.
yeah, we can do
I
that.
know our dairy inspector was driving a Ford Focus for quite a while, and they would change them over at around 80,000 miles. And now they switched to Subarus and they're going to about 150. So I mean, as far as longevity,
Mm-hmm,
it's worth considering, I think.
yeah,
But then you're going to probably Plattsburgh for your services, changes and stuff.
yeah,
But in the long run, would that be less expensive than higher turnover?
I mean, Ecofield will still do services outside of their board, but
oh, yeah, they will service a Subaru too, for sure, but if you go take it back to the dealer for at least a year, you're gonna get a lot of discounted, but we're in the fine tuning here, I think
Yeah.
the gist of it is that we should get another. We should get the Malibu out of Jeff's yard and look for, I don't know, I mean, we're gonna have it towed, right? Is it functional?
Oh, I drove it there.
Oh, that's right, you did.
Yeah.
But,
The wheel went back out?
It's okay.
okay,
so I guess I would be okay with approving or making a motion to approve up to $20,000 that year. For a vehicle that you think with the trade-in would make sense. But I'd also encourage you to say if this vehicle that's more expensive, lower mileage and meets our long-term needs. Then come back to the executive.
okay,
I'll second.
thank you.
all in favor?
I
Aye.
Or I could sell you a horse. Gotta find a buggy then.
I'm thinking bicycles.
There you go. Good shot.
I don't know what time it is, but I wanna, I have a couple more things and then I do wanna hear from other people, but I just wanna let you know. Something else about the fair. This will be the first year ever that I know of that there will be no 4-H animals at the fair.
I thought you.
Really?
Didn't you just had
You know what?
No 4-H animals at the
Didn't
fair.
we just say, I thought Jess, is she on? I thought-
Yes.
I thought she was saying that,
Yes, you say Jess.
yes. Didn't you say that there were gonna be animals, like a cow or a couple things at the fair this year? Could be totally wrong about that.
Nobody.
I don't
signed-
think I did. At the festival,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
That's
No
okay.
bunnies?
There's very few bunnies in at least in the 4-H program now. Bunnies and chickens. So, well, I shouldn't say chickens. Bunnies are very low in numbers. The Paneros have been the only one that have had bunnies over the last like 5 or 6 years.
And they are not coming, they brought all the animals last year and
Yeah.
the older one is going to college, so they're not coming to fair. They're driving her to college.
Which
So here's the good news about this. The fair board wasn't too happy about it. It's not great, but I think it's gonna really, really put a spotlight on the need for changes. And I think it's going to I feel sorry for Jake because Jake's been doing really great work with the after school programs and with the 1-4-H big group, the big group we have in Saranac Lake. He's been here less than a year and he's now got the kind of lay of the land. And I just have really seen him try, do all the right things and be over kind of not be able to do what he wanted to do and not meet his own expectations, but I think that 2 things are happening. One is we are down a person who is a team leader, who should be a champion for that program and who should be doing all the outreach. Jake cannot do all the outreach and all the programming. And that sort of falls to me. So that position is one I've been trying to do to supervise the community vitality side of the house, and I haven't done the best job that I could do. I could do a lot more outreach. And I'm gonna try and do better. And quite honestly, I thought I would have been able to make more progress, but this whole financial scenario is taking a lot more time than expected, not an excuse. But what I really want to do, and Jake and I have talked a lot about this, is we really want to have a stakeholders meeting, and we've talked to Alexa Maley, who is the 4-H leader for the whole state, who's amazing and lives in Clinton County. And we're calling a focus on 4-H and really find out more from former 4-H leaders and from who else is running programs in the schools and from what kids want and from what the youth commissions want and what the fair board wants, and try and really reset what 4-H is and does. And I feel pretty excited about it. We're gonna try and do it in August. If anyone has any ideas or want to be involved, we'll send out some information. He's just wrapping up the after-school programming for this school year, and he's got a horse show coming, some horse events coming up, but that's what I think we need to do. We need to just like have a whole like blank sheet of paper, just see what we come up with. And I think we'll have some help from the fair board, some members of the fair board. I even have some pockets of money that I think that we might be able to apply for, that are independent from USDA money. And I think it's an opportunity to go around and tell people, literally a dog and pony show, what 4-H does now, like what we do. And we applied for, one of the grants we applied for was a composting grant, would be for 4-H curriculum to interpret composting. One of the ones we applied for that we're still waiting to hear from is a nutrition related one. We can go in different directions for 4-H, but we really have to I need to give Jake a lot more support, and the community needs to hear from him more. So that's kind of where we're headed with fair. Don't be surprised. And the Paneros, even though they're not coming, did say they would bring 20 static exhibits.
20 what?
Static exhibits, which are the presentations of like a project that they did. So we will, and Jake is gonna try and get some static exhibits and some of the projects from the after school programs and from the independent clubs and some things, so that there will be something. But I do not think we will have anything down in that barn that's shabby and falling down and not necessarily safe for animals anyway. But people will miss us, people will notice. So the idea that we currently have that Jake and I want to try is everybody love the dairy bar. So we are gonna try and get an ice cream cart and have very fixed, not all week from morning to night, but just have some fixed times to have the kids that we know and are already enrolled in 4-H do ice cream truck.
Cool.
That's what we're gonna try. And we'll keep you posted.
Is
Hey,
this
Elizabeth.
lack of
Yeah.
representation?
Yeah. Yes.
I have two thoughts. One, I don't know if this would help at all, or even where it is, or if it's still there, in all honesty. There was that snack shed that Linda got right before she left that's housed at the fairgrounds. So it was painted and it's movable. They used to be able to lift it up on forks and move it around. So that might be helpful if there's not like an ice cream cart type of thing. And
Great.
then COVID hit is what happened, and then we never really used it. And then Sam and I never, everything kind of with the fair, we were back and forth with things. So that is it should be somewhere. If that could be useful. And it's, I think, just painted white so kids could like paint it however they wanted or whatever that could look like. But then the other thought I was having is the kids that are doing the horse show in July, this might be a Jake thing too. Could they be like required? Because normally if they showed at fair, they'd have to put in a static exhibit. If they're not going to go to fair, but still doing the 4-H show, could they have to enter static exhibits? Because that
That's a
might
great
get
idea.
a good group of kids.
That's a really good idea. I will talk to Jake about that. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, it's not a big add-on from what they would have normally done anyway. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. Well, yeah, let's track down that ice cream thing, because our other alternative, which was suggested by the head of the fair board, was that Ray Rice has a cart. Like an ice cream cart. So
Oh.
if it's, I don't know exactly what that entails, but I was tasked with asking him.
Let's start by talking to Glenn, find out what they do, because I know we have a little shed there.
If we have a shed on site, that's where I'm headed. Okay, let's get that one. That's where we're going. Please, when the time comes, I really need all of your input into 4-H. I really, really do. And I want to go back to like Tammy Bushy and some of the previous board members and previous leaders. I mean, when I first started working here, I had so many previous leaders say, we love 4-H, we want to do 4-H. Now I'm gonna be like strong arming a couple people, twisting some arms and saying, okay, let's talk about that. Okay, only I've got a couple other things, but I think I'm just gonna leave you with one, which is Agriculture Day at the Board of Supervisors is gonna be July 28th. And it's going to be, Cole is gonna do a presentation, and Soil and Water is gonna do a presentation, Adirondack Land Trust is gonna do a presentation, actually. No, because they hear from me and Alice every month, so we're gonna try and get some new voices in front of them. Cole is gonna do it, Aaron from, Thomas from the Land Trust, and then we're gonna get a panel of or a group of farmers. And we're not doing the tent outside, huge relief.
Oh, okay.
We found out that they can
That's
eat inside. We just found this out
Okay.
last week. They can eat inside, so we're gonna get food, we're gonna feed them inside where they are already sitting down and paying attention. And we're gonna talk to them about, we're gonna give them an update on the farmland protection plan, and so it's gonna be simpler, easier, new voices. They're gonna talk to farmers instead of looking at slides they can't read because they're too fuzzy.
This is the county board of supervisors.
Yep, so if you can be there, it would be great. So it's gonna be, it's July, the last Monday in July, July 28th, and it'll be in the Board of Supervisors chambers. And
Where is that?
it's right in E-Town, right across from Tops. Yeah, and it's a great, we really want them to actually have have interaction with farmers instead of, because what happened in the past was they just drifted off. They didn't really engage the way we wanted them to.
The
And
directors did?
the supervisors
Oh,
did,
the
yeah, board of
supervisors,
yeah, the supervisors did. Some of them, one or two did, but it's such a big ask for the farmers to show up in the middle of the day, and they didn't really sell much, and they didn't really get to engage as much as meaningfully as they wanted. You know, it wasn't like a failure, but it just wasn't as powerful as it could be, and I think Cole's got some good ideas in shifting it up and has been talking with other partners. Also, Roost wants to be more visible and involved. So,
That is, you know, being a farmer, it's a tough thing for me to consider. Because I literally work 7 days a week, and if I take time off to do something like that, that means the work is not getting done. And that sucks, but there's only two of us, so we kind of can't. And it goes back to also, I think, the fair thing too, where Michelle and I try to go to the fairs. And we just scratch our heads wondering how people can do that, like dairy farmers in particular. It boggles my mind. You know, how could you leave your herd and all of your work because it doesn't go away? Because we always noticed that the Essex County Fair needed a dairy representative. And every single year we look at each other and go, can we do it? No, we can't. And when you mentioned that, maybe we could, I
well,
don't know.
well, we'll send out info about what we're gonna do, and the thing is about the fair is a pretty big commitment. And I think we should talk to you about what would make it possible for you to do an event like that, rather than ask you to commit to something that's not doable. You know, I
Yeah.
think that I wanna find out, like, maybe it's just come and do a cheese tasting. And, you know, maybe it's have one of us or a 4-H kid do a cheese tasting and talk,
Yeah.
you know. And I think that the festival serves a totally different purpose, where the goals, there was sort of a mashup of goals for the Ag Day, and the festival does one part of it much better, which is farmers sell things. And the supervisors want to know something else, which is how many farms do we have? How much farmland have we lost? How much money, how much of an economic impact is this? They want to do something different. If they want to talk to farmers, they're gonna come to the festival. If they want, and if we want people to buy things from farmers, we need to push them to the festival, not to Ag Day.
I think so too.
So that's what we're trying. That's what we're gonna try this
And
year.
I only speak for myself as a farmer. But I would assume that other farmers would
Uh-huh.
probably have a very similar
They definitely do.
viewpoint.
Yes.
But I would say at Ag Day, the difference is that that's an opportunity to hear testimony from a farmer that says. These contract agencies, the policies that the county sets is helping enable the board. To feeding,
Mhm.
agriculture at Adirondack Harvest. They want to be able to hawk their wares and be able to talk about what you're doing, what else is happening. They're not likely to talk about policy.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So.
Yeah.
And-
It would be great if you did have the time to come to Act Day for an hour to be able to then. Throw some cheese curds at them.
I'll bring a cow.
Well, also, that's happened before. Jessica did that. But the other thing is that your town in particular is one where there's gonna be, Charlie Harrington there's gonna be a turnover of 5 supervisors who have farm backgrounds.
Mhm.
And there's gonna be a replacement of them with people who may or may not have farm backgrounds.
Yeah,
So it's an opportunity for there are a bunch of new ones that came on last year who have no farm background. So as we lose supervisors who do know what farming is all about in Essex County, we have to inform the new ones what it means, because otherwise they will not vote for policies. They won't even understand why the policies are what they are.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, we're hoping to try this and see
yeah,
if
there's
it's,
definitely value there.
yeah, yes.
Hmm.
So with that, concludes my report.
Okay.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sorry. I did have one more thing that Kevin Jordan asked me to send. It's not my report, it's Kevin's. Which is that things that we've talked about before. About funding, but the other thing is that I will be going to another executive leadership conference in September. The board presidents are included if they want to come. It is in Ithaca.
Go for it. It's gorgeous.
We can talk about it later.
I need a dog babysitter.
Well,
Well.
Jessica's she's the best. She just babysat my dog for a week and my dog comes back happier than when you leave him there. So.
Oh, all right. I've got 2.
Well, we can talk about
When is
that
it
at
in
the next
September?
meeting. I think it's the 8th and 9th.
Okay.
9th, September 9th. And it does involve, a hotel stay, which is got a cost to it, so we maybe need to see where we're at there, and I
All right. I'll
think we
have
should
to
keep
see.
talking.
All right, I'll have to see.
Yeah.
Have to see. All right, so the EEO policy.
Or you want to tackle that one?
I absolutely can. I'm skipping over committee reports.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
we did the staff report, we did the executive director's report, so I
Um,
don't know if there are reports there.
well, they were,
Speak now or.
I think everybody has them. Was there any, discussion about anything on the?
No, you're talking about the
The
staff.
staff report is
The
just
staff
the
reports.
committees,
Program advisor.
program advisory committees. So community vitality, I don't know if they've met.
Uh,
I think they skipped.
Well, we met last month.
yes,
So maybe our.
we need to, yeah.
There
I'm
was
sorry.
definitely a report in the minutes from last month from community vitality, so there's probably not an update from that.
Correct.
Adirondack Harvest did meet last week.
Mm.
I was not here, so I'm not sure exactly what happened. I haven't seen minutes. And I know that we are wrapping up, our search for a program leader that the position closes on Wednesday. But frankly, I've not been here, so I'm not caught up on everything.
We need to table that.
Yeah.
Next time we can mail out a program advisory committee report for agriculture and non-running.
We were doing that for a while so that everyone had the reports ahead of time, but.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was gone and Lori was gone and we had Juneteenth off and that left one day last week for me and 0 for Lori, so we'll try and move back to those.
The EEO,
Oh, there's-
should we move on to the EEO?
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's move on to the EEO. Y'all voted on this, you think?
Yeah.
Last time? But we hadn't really pulled it all together, and messed with the language, so we weren't comfortable just forging ahead. With this policy number 401 without your eyes on it one more time. If it's not critical to our operations right now, if you want to table it for next time, we can do that. We've really just made sure we took out all the language that was advised to take out by the attorney. And anything else we felt, and it really actually ended up being, I think, shorter than the original policy.
And all these people are still there, like Title IX coordinator. One thing she's.
Yeah, we checked that, that, those were, yeah, we think so.
Okay, I move to adopt.
Okay. Exactly.
So it looks like it's a repetition in the minutes of last month's minutes, but what you approved last time was too generic, so this is better.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so is there a second to approve this? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so we'll adopt this.
Thank you.
Anything else?
On Kevin's report was, I don't know if you remember, but we had a conversation about, the statewide, review of HR policies or of our policy manual generally. And we talked about it last time a little bit, or maybe in the executive meeting, and I said if all of the policy, if all of the associations agree, it will cost us $500 to have all of our policies reviewed by HR1, which is a statewide.
Yes.
Yep, so right now 38 associations have, and it's expected that the rest of them will, so that is really good news because it means it will probably be around $500 instead of $1,000. And it's a bargain and a half,
All
and
right,
under all the circumstances, it's really good. So that was his update, that it looks like it's going forward.
all right,
We've already submitted all our policies.
We were right first.
Huh?
I don't know, but Lori was right on top of it. It's great.
There you go.
Yeah, so we'll have more update on that later. And then I will be in touch with the executive committee about meeting. I'll send out a doodle poll and find out some times. And we're gonna try and get a couple of meetings on the schedule before we need them, and better to cancel them than not have things, so that you can plan ahead.
also, one thing I would like to bring up, Alicia, cannot make meetings that are on the fourth Monday of the month. She has a conflict with, the town of Plattsburgh meetings that she has to run.
For her job.
So, if we moved it to the third Mondays of the month, would that be something that everyone can do?
I think so.
I don't know where her priorities are, but.
Yeah, I know, what,
I think she has other meetings on the third, but she said she would surrender the third Monday meetings, but not, she couldn't, she has to go to the fourth because it's her job.
Most Mondays are the same for me, so I don't know about the others, but yeah, if there's a conflict that she.
all right.
Even if
The
she has to
third
be the
was,
second
August.
Monday.
If we
Yeah,
could do
the
that,
August meeting.
yeah, if we could do that, that would.
So right now, it's only an August and a December meeting right now that would be, so I can shift both of those. I'll send that out to the rest and we'll see if anyone comes back with an issue, but
All right.
Yeah.
Jessica, you're good?
Are you gonna go to the second or the third?
third,
I'm good.
Okay,
August is the next one.
yeah. So, yeah, instead of August 25th, it would be August 18th.
And thank you for doing that. August is a really important meeting because that's when we have to approve the budget we submit to the county. So we have to have a quorum. And so that's kind of a good reason to have it on the 18th, so that if something comes up, we have a little cushion before we have to
Alright.
submit it. It goes in the first week of September,
So
but
you know, that's actually, my,
darn it,
that could be the first day of vacation.
darn it.
Sorry.
Where are your priorities?
Wait a minute, you're the treasurer. Now we have to kind of work around that.
And
We won't be ready.
we won't be ready, hopefully. We may be bumping into fair then too.
Mhm, it would be fair week.
That's perfect, yeah, that's perfect.
No, that's the Monday after fair. The fair's 13 to 17. Wait,
Right, but we
it would be the
have to have
13th.
fair prep on,
Right.
well, maybe you and I, but anyway.
I don't think we'll be
Um,
ready the week before the second week. The 13th, I don't think we'll be ready, right? It would be the 13th, that the
No, it'd be
second?
the 11th.
11th.
Yeah,
I think that's too soon. All right, Daniel, well, that just means you're gonna have to really come in and do your homework before you go on vacation.
Good.
And
Do you want? Alicia? Do you need a hand of doing this?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think we talked about putting together a committee that.
Yeah, we did that, but I haven't
Perfect.
pursued it any
Yes.
further, so, all right, okay. All right, we'll do that then.
when we last met, I said I would try and make a connection, so so you could have a conversation about asking. So Trisha, I think should make the ask.
All right,
Yeah, but I'll try and get together to kind of explain what it does. And honestly, what I think would be really great, I don't know how the rules are for this, but to have a sort of treasurer-elect,
Yeah,
like someone who is gonna shadow the treasurer. Is there been this done before?
I don't know.
Other organizations do this all the time, where there's like a president-elect that shadows the president for a year before they actually do the job, or, it's mostly with a treasurer and a president.
I would say vice treasurer, and Alicia being not here is the perfect person.
no,
I think it's mandatory, actually. You need to not be here to be invited.
Right, she hasn't voluntold. We'll talk to her.
okay, all right,
She
we'll do
did,
that,
she did raise her hand last time. So,
okay. The one time she was here,
correct.
so. All right, okay. Anything else we need to
I
do
don't know, we
tonight?
didn't really do as many shout outs as I would like to the staff, because they're all doing amazing things, and please read that staff report, because they're really doing great things, and we did not take enough time to thank them and recognize them at all today.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that link that was on
Oh, my bad.
that
That
one
was,
thing.
yeah, I will send that to you. There was a link on the staff report, which is from the Secretary of Agriculture's plans for small farms. And,
Yeah, the link didn't work.
well, I'm sorry the link didn't work, and I hope that that is a meaningful document, because hard to know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would
Still worth reading.
I would
It's not
kind of
very
like
long.
to see,
Yep. Yep.
Just as a little funny bit, my intern discovered recently an old document that we have that has gone out to the public a couple times. There's a link, old, again, Ag and Markets has since changed it, but if you click on that link, it goes to a site with some adult content on it.
Those animals, they do the craziest things on Clubhouse.
How funny that you should say that, because I worked at IBM and they sent out a help number
Yeah.
and it's IBM something, and it did the same thing. It's all the porno, theater in France. And guys would call it and they'd hear that and they were so afraid that people were checking who they were calling. They'd run right down to their manager and say, I was just calling help. And they're like, no, it's okay. Yeah.
So much classier in French, though.
It takes a second to understand what you're hearing. I'm like, oh, crap.
dear.
That's not what I want.
all right,
Think we're good?
I moved to
I think,
And
all right,
Dan-
a second?
There we go.
All right, all in favor, and we will adjourn at 7:07.
Nice work, team. Nice work. Everybody go home and eat strawberries and.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay cool.
Don't worry, I'm not.
Here.
Nice cut you on stamp.
See you all next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sandwich. Sandwiches a lot. Sandwiches out there. Oh, please do. All right.
There was the guy who did